Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Hey, look, the camera, it worked the first time. I'm really happy about that. Well, let's go here to the main chart because we got 15 seconds before we go live here. It looks like that they've come back quite a bit here in just the 15 minutes that we've been here waiting while I was eating. And by the way, good morning, Nicholas, Leopold, and Lucas. Glad to see you guys in nice and early. Well, kind of interesting action overnight here. Hold on. Okay, so there was maybe a little bit of a buy on the open, but it didn't seem like a whole lot of action. Although those that level 2 sure is active. So we might have some good trade today. I don't know. Let's see here. So let's just check here really quick. Oh my gosh, all my stuff has been closed down on my browser. Okay. So today, we get Jolt's jobs opening at 8 o'clock. Oh, there's an uptick again. I'm going to wait here for a little bit. Yeah, it kind of looks like they're all over the place, doesn't it? Let me just fix my calendar here. Yes, okay. So we got Jolt's jobs opening. FOMC member Quarles speaking at 9:35. Overall, though, doesn't look like too big of a day. Also going to be pretty weak Wednesday. Oh, and we got 10-year auction on Wednesday. And CPI on Friday. Well, we're already into that sort of stuff. Okay, well, let's go to the charts then. I'm starting to fill Trump's tweet after with my trading for the entire week. Well, yeah, so if we look here on the chart, I feel you, man. Like, okay, so what? That's the MES. They traded a pretty decent amount of volume yesterday. Everybody was pretty happy with the results. Anyways, back to the E-mini. Okay, so yesterday they basically spent the whole day trying to bridge the gap, and they didn't quite make it. You can see here, there's still a little bit of a gap. Oh, that's way too big. There's still a little bit of a gap, but I'm gonna say they closed the gap, generally speaking. And now we are kind of moving back and forth on the E-mini. But if we look at the Treasuries, which was super interesting, the action that we were seeing yesterday, it held for a very, very long time. They did eventually move down, only to come back up, and then down again, and then only to be back up when the futures started again. So, what happened yesterday at 5 p.m.? There's a huge green candle there. Like at 5 p.m. Eastern time, or I think that you're just talking about the open, like that huge blue candle. That's just when the futures started up again. So when the futures started up again, somebody bought it. Yeah, pretty wild. So I think that what might be happening now. I'm gonna switch it back over to the main chart. So I was watching this, I was reading CNBC this morning, and Jeffrey Gundlach was saying that he doesn't really know which way rates are going to go. He's decided. Okay, JB says, how can you say they've closed that gap? Not even close. Okay, you're right. I mean, they didn't close it between like that close and the high of the day. There's still a gap. Totally true. But they did get into the previous day's range, was all I was saying. I guess I'm just not sure that there's going to be a strong like impulse or move for them to try and close it on the E-mini. I'm not sure if the difference is strong enough for them to do that. When it was yesterday, it was it started going up, and I was like, well, they're gonna have to try and close the gap. They didn't close it that day. I don't know. They could still move up though. But anyways, Jeffrey Gundlach was saying well, I don't really know which way rates are going to go, so I think that you just buy straddles. So he was saying use the options and just, say that it's not, I don't know which way it's going to go, but I know it's not going to stay here. And the problem with that is that until we actually get something that makes it really clear which way it's going to go, we could be very range bound in bonds. So I think that what you're going to get is you're going to get something kind of like we had yesterday where it seems really, really slow, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just really goes. I think we could get a lot of scares like that. So that's without news driving us today. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Um, and I don't know. The thing is that I feel like that this location for risk is not the best because this thing could really move quite a bit either direction. Either direction. Well, and there's still got like 10 minutes to 6:30, even though there's no news today for that to matter, huh? And did we? I didn't get my chart. You know what? I didn't copy over the 3 session template that allows me to get the good bull bear zone. I'm going to guess though that let's see here. I'm just looking at John's chart here that he posted. 30th April. There was a big up. Yeah, I don't know. To me, if they traded into the range, that's enough. I don't know. I don't think that it's like the open and the close is quite as big of a deal as just that it traded into the previous day's range. And it did. See? Over here. Here was the area. They did it. And they actually did get all the way up to here, which was a volume area here. I'm just not convinced that we absolutely have to get here, or at least we don't absolutely have to get here today. That's all I'm saying. You're right though that there is still a gap, I suppose. I just not a huge deal to me yet. Maybe if we get a real impulse, like if we really start buying above the overnight high in the E-mini, then maybe I would think differently. But this just looks like really volatile to me. Well, I think we should check to see if we can get the mess going here, huh? See if we fixed it. Not that one. ZT. I think we have to go and download instruments again. Download instruments, CME, update, download. 699. MES, nope. Okay. Let's check Jigsaw. Let's see if anybody in chat is still saying anything. Yeah, I don't see anything. Maybe I check my email here real quick. Okay, well, they are pushing down below the previous. Oh no, not quite yet. 19.5. Okay, so they're kind of on the edge here still. Yeah. Hmm. I don't know. I'm just looking at like messages from yesterday. I don't think that a whole lot of these guys over here in Jigsaw really care about the MES, to be honest. They probably all already have ES anyways. And hmm, do some see some people trading it here. Well, need something positive to happen on the US China trade front or an update on the aircraft carrier task group that's heading to the Strait of Hormuz to get that gap closed. Okay, so if the E-mini is going to go down, that's kind of the way I'm seeing it right now. Well, except for that the E-mini's might not move for 30 minutes. And the treasuries are still just ranging. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so JB is saying that needs something positive to happen on the US China trade front or an update on the aircraft carrier task group that's heading to the Strait of Hormuz to get that gap closed, is what he thinks. Uzi says, I just trade smaller when it's more volatile. No shame in trading one contract. Yeah. Oh, and Bots agrees with the rejection comment. Gotcha. Well, I am seeing now enough here. Well, yeah, that's interesting. There's all of the orders are above us in the 10-year. But I'm not sure about this spot right here. Because the E-mini still, or sorry, the 5-year. 5-year still kind of looks like. Okay, so they did tick up. You're also they're also forcing you to buy it, which I'm not a huge fan of. Like they're forcing you to hit in with market orders or not. Some rejection here as well, like Gabe says. At 29.10. In this morning's action, yeah. I don't know though. That's unclear if that's really rejection yet, because It's just too early to say, you know? But it might be. I mean, if the E-mini gets another strong move up here, then definitely. Like if they go for the overnight high. That's kind of where I'm having issues. Like not only that, but am I showing the right screen here? Yeah, I am. Okay, cool. Iranian Foreign Minister, Washington's warnings and pretexts on Iranian threat will not change the facts in the region, says Tasnim. What facts? Lira crash continues as Turks protest Erdogan's treacherous election pre-run decision. Okay, so and a downtick in the in 10. Why do I want to say E-mini? I just got her on my mind, guys, I guess. I want to trade those of them micro E-minis. Well, that ES is trading, you know. Look at that. They're just buying it up there. That's kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever seen one quite like that in ES. Anyways, the issue I have over here in the Treasuries right now is this little thing right here. It's a very, very subtle, but at 21 and a quarter, there's a big order. And they bounced off of it. Okay, now there's an iceberg at 26. I think iceberg on both sides, in fact. What's with this? And this big order showing up at 25.5. Well, this could be a ruse. So I want to take it, yeah, with a limit order just to be safe. Okay. Okay, this has been offered for a while, but not a lot trading. Iran and EU close to a deal to allow Iran to sell. Are you kidding me? There is going to be hell to pay if they make a deal and start selling oil, because there's an embargo. Like the U.S. has an embargo on them, right? And if you are violating it by selling oil to Europe, then they're going to embargo Europe. This is dumb. Whoever is in charge of shit in the EU right now, you are dumb. You are really dumb, for real. That is, I must be reading that wrong. There is no way that can be true. I must be overreacting. There's no way that could be what's happening. I mean, it's looking kind of weak on the offer there, but they're not going for it yet. Probably because of the 5-year. Clown world is real. Man. No, I don't think that we need a ton of pictures of me flipping people off on the internet. They're just giving people fuel. So while I'm thinking about it, have you guys gone and watched and read the comments on my political video for the week? Because in my video for the week, the story was that Bernie Sanders has fallen in the polls, most likely as a result of his comments about that we should give felons the right to vote. And the Bernie Sanders fans just I mean, I kind of predicted that the Bernie Sanders fans would come in, but like they really came in, and I got a lot of comments. I think that we've got like 3 dozen comments on there already. And, I'm arguing with them. It's kind of weird because it just seems like there's another one from Live Squawk. Iran and the EU are said to be close to a deal enabling Iran to sell its oil. That's just not smart. Do I misunderstand the situation, right? The US is putting sanctions on Iran, and anybody that violates those sanctions is also going to be sanctioned. And so if the EU sells oil to Iran, they're going to start embargoing the EU. Is that wrong? Okay, now we are seeing some hit into 26.5. So far this trade is going well. Okay, did not immediately go. Looks like there's still an iceberg there at 26.5. The E-mini is falling. I kind of want to short it now. It's a good spot for risk. How is CL reacting to that? I wonder. Well, yeah. So when I go and I look at CL over here, the chart, it's not moving a ton yet. So I don't know about that. That's kind of weird. You would think that there would be a bigger reaction to that. But I think maybe they're not reacting to that because the oil producing states have made it clear that no matter what happens, they're going to keep the supply stable. So if Iran does actually able to sell more, then that just means that the Saudis will just sell less. Okay, that 27 is pulling now too. I like it. And 26.5 gave up pretty easily. And given that all of the volume that traded here at 26 and 26.5, if we're able to extend beyond this 3-tick range here, I think that you got plenty of fuel. It's still kind of giving me this rangy look though, especially there on the 5-year with the 21.12. So gotta be careful here. Okay. Sure enough, there was only 1 tick in that. Well, I'm afraid of the situation that I was in yesterday, so I'm looking, maybe I should try and get fills. See, now they're pulling 26. They're playing that game. Oh, and the E-mini kind of recovered a little bit. I did that wrong. I should have moved this down. They're having a hard time coaxing them into doing it now, but they haven't hit 26 yet, even though it's pulled a few times and flipped a few times. I wonder if there is a guy long and he's trying to accumulate here, and there really is something going on. If maybe he wants more at 26 and he's having trouble getting them to sell it into him, and maybe he didn't expect it to go quite up like that. Okay, well, they fill this and they put 1,500 on the bid. Maybe this goes without us. That's okay. I feel like my feeling is still choppy range bound. Yeah, Perry said Saudi Arabia will meet shortfall. Exactly. Okay. Well, there they went. They did take the 27 pretty easily. It's still kind of well, the offer in the 5 year disappeared. Oh, I want that. Okay. Lucas is saying, yeah, they stormed your video. Are we might have a little bit of a delay here. I think I'm not seeing your YouTube comments as quickly as probably I should. Because I know the stream delay is not that long. But you tell me, you can see the clock, so you can tell me how far off they are. Oh, Lucas says, no, I just typed that. Yeah, okay. Oh, he went and he looked, and then he came back and he's like, oh yeah, they stormed your video. Well, I'm enjoying it. I'm glad that I'm getting a lot of comments, and that was kind of the objective. But some of the things that they're saying are just really surprising me. I think that I do not understand where these people are at as well as I thought I did. So one this morning that kind of surprised me was they were claiming that the New York Times isn't really a left-leaning publication. I thought that was a little surprising because I thought that pretty much everybody understood that the New York Times is like very anti-Trump and has been quite liberal for quite some time. And I'm not so sure that they like support Bernie Sanders versus Biden or anything like that. But if you're a political operative and you have a dirty story and you're a Republican, you don't put it in the New York Times. They're not. You don't have those contacts. It's a left-leaning publication. So that one surprised me. But then the thing that really surprised me was that it seemed like that the the Bernie Sanders fans just do not believe any of the polls at all. Have to consider far less to them. Everyone and everything is burning. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the way it always is. I think that we don't realize where we really fit on the political spectrum. I think that a lot of people are surprised when they find out how extreme they have actually become, because we anchor a lot of our what is the word, our identity to our younger years. And so to me, when I was, like 21, and it was like 2005 and 2003 or whatever, and I considered myself fairly moderate. And Mitt Romney was kind of considered the more moderate person in the primary, right? But then when we look at what has happened since then and where I stand now, and how the views have changed, even though I still think of myself as a moderate, when you look at the overall picture, I am pretty far right. So, and I think that a lot of people on the left, that's happened to as well. They've drifted left and they don't realize it. They liked Warren Buffett praising capitalism, though. The fact that you can find 10% of American voters who consider every single person in this chat is a Nazi is astounding to me. I don't know what percentage it is, but the left is definitely the far left is definitely pretty wild in terms of what they think about other people. Well, there's an iceberg at 27.5, but it's both sides are pulling. I mean, I kind of liked the way that it was ticking. That's why I switched, but I didn't expect an iceberg to be there at 27.5. Maybe if we can break through that, then we can see what happens. They're probably going to have to trade through it. But what we're seeing right now kind of is maybe in favor of that theory earlier that there was some guy down here that really wanted to be long and he didn't get as many contracts as he wanted because it ticked up and then he was sitting there on the bid again. Maybe he's filled now. If only people could forget about right or left and start talking common sense. Well, I was talking on one of those threads about the shooters and everything. I was like, guys, you really need to get over this whole right versus left thing because it really doesn't matter. They're really using it against you. All right, well, I think that was a bad trade. See, they're stirring the pot, I think. They pulled 26.5. They hit it. They're not able to make it stay bid. It's not the right or the left. It's the up and down. That is the authoritarian liberal spectrum really needs to focus. I think that hold on. We'll focus here. It just seems to me that people are way too quick these days to dismiss basic data, right? So that was the thing that was surprising to me. Was it's very clear now in 3 or 4 polls that Bernie Sanders has lost some support, and there's a very clear reason for it, right? He thinks that felons should vote. The public is like extremely opposed to this. For a lot of people, it really makes them mad. So you got this going on, and he doubles down on it. So it's not just a question of like, oh, a lot of people thought that felons voting is a bad idea, and so because of that one issue, he lost their support. It's not like that. It's like they look at it and they say, if that's the way that he's going to run his campaign, how can he possibly win? He just seems like inept campaign running to me. And I think that a lot of Democrats said the same, and that's why his numbers went down. And it's very clear that the numbers went down, but there's so many people coming in there in denial. And here's the thing, Bernie fans, if there's any of them out there listening, I don't think there's very many people that are Bernie Sanders fans that listen to the stream. But if you're out there, Bernie fans, listen. I have nothing against Bernie Sanders. I'm a Republican. I think that all of the candidates are a little crazy and I want them to lose. But here's the thing. I have nothing. I'm not like sitting here trying to shill against Bernie Sanders because to me, Bernie Sanders is the easiest guy to win against. I would love Bernie Sanders to win the Democrat nomination because I think it would probably be the most entertaining general election. So I'm not sitting here trying to bash Bernie Sanders. Okay. But let me help you out here, guys. If you want to help out your candidate, you have to be aware of the facts. And the facts is that what he said was bad for him and it hurt him. You've got to acknowledge that. And if you can't acknowledge that, then you're not going to be able to help your candidate win. You simply cannot run a campaign completely against what's actually going on. You can't just be in denial all the time. You've got to be able to look at the data and make reasonable conclusions about the data. And what I'm hearing from the Bernie Sanders supporters is it doesn't matter what any data or anything that we see says, it doesn't matter. He's going to win. And that's just not the way that it works, folks. If you just have a bunch of yes men around Bernie Sanders, then he's definitely going to lose. Because he's not going to have the information, he's not going to have the right feedback to be able to make reasonable decisions. That's how I feel about it. So, wake up. If Elizabeth Warren comes out and actually takes out like second place, maybe then they will wake up. But okay, so it seemed to me there that they had a much easier time getting 26 half to go offer than they did the 27 to go bid. Bernie won't get the DNC nomination. It's going to be Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. We're talking one issue here. Well, now that is a really important point, Harry says. If I'm understanding what he's saying, because there was one person in there that was saying, hey, look, Bernie Sanders has public support on all of these policies that he has. And that's true based on the polling today. The caution that I would give with that is that polling for specific policy issues tend to be really, I'm not going to say inaccurate, but they tend to change a lot when it comes down to a specific. Like if we got into a debate and then they had a specific policy proposal and they were debating over that policy, I have found that public perception of that policy changes a lot. And especially when you get to the general election. So I would not assume that because, X percent of Americans support taxing rich people, just as a really general example. Well, of course, that's always popular. But the case has been historically that even though that tends to poll well, those candidates don't do well. So that's the caution there. But people really don't vote on policy. Just like honestly, most voters don't really know or understand the policies. They don't look at it from a perspective of, okay, what would be the net effect on the economy and the government revenues with this new tax policy? What type of businesses would it benefit, and what kind of businesses would it harm? Etc. They don't have the context to even try and make that kind of analysis, right? They're going off of gut feeling. That's most people, right? So when they go in here and they hear Bernie Sanders wants felons to vote, that's all that matters at that point. What their feelings about Bernie Sanders is almost entirely connected to whether or not they think that felons voting is a good idea. And there is a pretty large swath of voters out there that this idea makes them extremely upset, right? So it's like, yeah, it's one issue, but right now it's the only issue that matters for Bernie Sanders. And the thing that's really the killer is that it's not even so much whether or not they support it, because it seems like it's, based on the polling at least right now, that it's 50-50 for Democrats whether or not they think that, whether or not they support that idea, right? So you would think that it should be okay, but I think that the reason why his polling support is going down is not because so many Democrats oppose the policy, but because so many Democrats are worried about what kind of chance he's going to have in the general election if those are the kinds of issues that he's going to, if that's the hill that he's going to die on. You know what I mean? Get some play. Well, that might be true. It did give him some publicity, and it is a good thing for Bernie Sanders that people are really only talking about Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. That in the long run is a good thing for him, and that probably is going to help Bernie's support stay. It's just a question of, at this point, I would consider this a gaffe. The question is now that they've made the mistake, can the campaign move past it? Probably what they're going to have to do. But we'll see what they do. Stir the pot. Well, that certainly seems like what's happening here in the Treasuries. It has ticked up and down here a lot. It is consolidating upwards, but they are stirring it up here for sure. And there has been some decent volume on the offer. Like they've hit into it, and there's been some pretty reasonably large icebergs up there. So it's not. I think that my probability here on this trade is not as high as when I took it. Yeah, so who's the supreme pot stirrer? So here's an interesting thing, like the comparison, because Donald Trump has certainly said many controversial things, and he said many things that in the primary that I thought, well, I'm not so sure anymore about if you can win that. The one that really got to me was when he proposed the Muslim ban. And I think that the end policy and the way that it's come out in the administration, I think was actually like the right way to do it. But at the campaign at the time, I was like quite alarmed. I was like, how can anybody win an election saying this sort of a thing? But the thing that Donald Trump always seemed to have on his side was that it was always like that what he was saying was misrepresented. So even if what he said was actually crazy, the Republicans still gave him the benefit of the doubt because the media had lied about it so many times before. You know what I mean? And you know, I think that there was there's a lot of support for that sort of thing in the Republican Party. Like, it's not a easy thing to admit. Well, that uptick there at 27 really easy. This is kind of really weird the way that it's moving around. It's not something that I like to admit, but I really do believe that the Republican Party is anti-Muslim, 100%. Personally, for me, I mean, I've met some Muslim people, like when I worked for Goldman Sachs, and I thought they were really great people. And it's very rare for me to meet Americans that I don't like. Okay. So, you know, I'm totally anybody that's an American and they believe in the American ideals as enshrined in the Constitution. I'm totally 100% behind them being here. But I'm not so sure that a lot of the people in some of those countries are that way. And I'm a little bit weary about how many of them we're going to allow in and how we're vetting them and stuff like that. I am. I'm not saying that they shouldn't come. It's just there's some questions, you know, and I think that I'm pretty moderate on that aspect. But then when I look at like fellow Republicans, they're like, oh man, like we've just got to stop all of this immigration because it's white genocide and all this sort of thing. It's like, yeah, like the Republicans really do believe that. Okay, this issue with Bernie Sanders, I think, is a little bit different. I think the only reason that Democrats support it, like 50% of them support it, is because they know that it would be a net benefit to Democrats, that they would win more elections because of this policy, because felons are going to vote Democrat. So I don't know if it's the same effect. You know what I mean? Like when Donald Trump did those sorts of things, he stirred the pot and he always came out on top. It was always like people actually came around to his side. This one, it's almost like the exact opposite. And I think that you might see that if Bernie Sanders continues to push this idea, and really they should just treat it like a gaffe and try and minimize it as much as possible. But if he doesn't, I think that you will see that the public will move against him. I think that you'll see the more he talks about it, the less support it has. Okay, so they took 28 with a lot less volume than should have been there, given the context. And it is now starting to look like, yes, there is a trend up, and they were really stirring things around, trying to get fills down there with it ticking up and down really easily. Bum, 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 bum. Anyways, I mean, it's not like the death knell of Bernie's campaign, right? There's a lot of campaign left, and most voters are really not paying attention. It seems to me like it's really more the activists that are doing this, and that's kind of why they're doing it, is because they're afraid of electability. It's not the end of his campaign. But if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter and you want to do everything in your power to help Bernie Sanders win, I think that um, you have to be aware of the data and be able to react according to the data. And the data is that he's fallen in the polls because of this issue. So if I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, I would be avoiding talking about this issue as much as possible. That's just the way. That's just the prudent thing to do. What Bernie Sanders did after that debate is political malpractice, in my opinion. His campaign was all like, no, this is a great thing, and we're gonna push it and try and explain why it's a good thing. No, no. Okay, they did sell 2,000 into 28.5. I am +3. It's the behavior overall still appears the same. The 5-year is moving up. I think I should move this just in case there's something crazy happens. But I'm still thinking I might need to take a profit. The E-mini is not happy at the moment. Are they realizing maybe now that this okay. So I'm getting a decent stack at 28 there. The E-mini is very upset. Did something happen? Maybe they are reacting to this trade, this Iran news. I really hope I'm misunderstanding this Iran story, because the what I heard there on the squawk is like, there's going to be a war and Europe's not going to be on the United States side of this war. Like that's what I heard. Is 212 on the stop order volume just your jigsaw setting, or how did that number get set? Good question, PV. It is a volume stop, which means that in order for that order to get triggered, there has to be less than 1212 being bid there. So if that 4606 goes down to 1212, then the stop will get hit. That'd be insane. Yeah, if given that there was already kind of trade tensions with the European Union, if they really go through with this oil thing with Iran, it is going to be a complete disaster. And yeah, bonds will go up because of it. 100%. 100%. So you just think about, remember like a year or two ago when North Korea was doing missile tests and everything, and the treasuries, they like really bought up. That was like the highest that treasuries had been in the past like 4 years, right? That day when with North Korea, you guys remember that day? And then I was like, well, North Korea's no big deal. It's like, it's not going to happen. And it went down. Okay. But this EU thing, this is a way bigger deal than anything that happened with North Korea. If the European Union decides to buy oil from Iran when Iran is under sanction, and the United States is putting a big effort to basically cut Iran off from the market, I am not. Oh, where do you put that? Okay, so I can show you on this one. So when you press the dollar, this little button with the dollar sign, and you get the little trade window thing up here, and here's a stop limit. You can switch it to that, and then there's SV, and the SV, that number that's in there is the stop volume. So that's what it will be put in. And then when you're setting up your strategy, where's the strategy manager? When you set up the strategy manager, you can set it here. See? So I set the stop value to be 1212. And that's just a random number I picked. Right? I would pick a random number. Don't make it an even number. Don't make it 1,000. Because the robots definitely play around on that number. Okay, so there was a decent amount at 29 that they had to trade through. So maybe a little bit of profit taking there. I'm very curious about what's causing this panic in equities. Gotcha. I was just wondering why it was a random number like that. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I was kind of thinking that 1212 is not as random of a number as I should probably stick in there. But computer is so slow this morning. I went short 29.0575. I didn't give a heads up. Oh, it's fine. So he's got a little bit in it. I think that this could keep going. But they are trading a lot of volume, so I've got to stay on my toes still. Oftentimes, though, when it starts trading volume like that, they can just keep pushing. Like, when it was down here, it was very rangy and kind of like, that kind of looked to me like the market maker messing with people. Now that it's getting up here, it seems to be trading really well. There's icebergs and everything, but it is trading really well. When you get a profit taking like that, they can often still go through for a tick or two, but a tick or two is the overnight high, and the E-mini really freaking out there, right? So, okay, well there is 22 on there now. The 5-year took a tick back. I should at least do this. Okay. Okay. So they didn't put a lot on the offer there. Okay. The 5-year ticked back up. Ace already got a point and got out, huh? So he's not sure if it's going to go lower. Or at least he was concerned enough about it that he took it off. He took the profit. I don't know. I don't think, well, okay, they did actually get to the single prints in the E-mini. So that move down may have just been a technical move. And they are hitting into 28.5. It's saying, yeah, she might be turning. I think so. I mean, I don't see... This doesn't appear to be a news-driven move. Zero Hedge says only Kudlow can save us now. Is he going to be talking on CNBC this morning? The thing I find alarming, though, about that move in the E-mini was there was a pretty decent amount of volume behind it. For pre-market trading, that was a lot of volume. That was a pretty scary sell-off for morning trade. Well, I've given up 3 ticks now. Well, 2 ticks, I guess. The move down was not quite the same. There was actually a lot of absorption on it too. I don't like, do you see this right here? So there was an iceberg, and did you see the bids that moved up and then they kind of came back down as the price came back down? Last time we saw that, they held price. Live action saying yes on the volume. Yeah, it was a lot of volume for pre-market. Seeing hundreds there on the pre-market is unusual. If I had gotten on like I usually do, I would have caught more of that down. Instead, I was looking for the wife's car keys. Oh man, that sort of a thing really drives me nuts when I miss a good trade. Missing a good trade can tilt me for the rest of the session. Okay, so they're given an easy offer there, and they're not going for it. But there is a big old offer in the 5-year. It's concerning to me that it has gotten as slow. Okay. E-mini is testing it again. There's always a good trade down the road. Yeah, for sure. It's I think that here, so here's the thing on that. Ooh, okay, yeah. Lucas is saying don't give it back. I'm really torn here between there's going to be another leg up, and I should just take it off here. This in the 5-year is making me wonder. I am seeing some signs of like at least a temporary pullback, but it's not like for sure. Anyways, I think the thing is I think that we all know. I think everybody knows that there can always be another day, or at least that you're supposed to keep your risk tight so that there can always be another day. Well, I understand that from an intellectual perspective, but getting the primal parts of your brain, the emotional part of your brain to understand that, I think is a different thing. And I think the only way that you teach it that is through experience. And I'm not sure that I'm completely there, you know? Hmm. Okay, so there was a little bit of a flip in the level 2 there. That the 5-year did tick down for a moment. Okay. Not a super strong bid. 22. Also, the 30-year is not. Oh, so I mentioned earlier that story about Jeffrey Gundlach, the bond king. He was saying you should just buy straddles. The other thing that was interesting about that was that he said that you should do it on the higher end. That you should do it on in like the 30-year, which I thought was interesting. And you've been seeing that actually, like the spread continues to flatten, even though because it's basically like if we move up, the 30-year moves up more. If we go down, the 10-year moves down more. Short A says I'm short 29. It was 625. Yeah, but he needs to go. He needs to go and make waffles probably. Jeffrey Gunlatch. So he owns a fund that specializes in bonds. Okay, they didn't like that. No one wants waffles 2 days in a row. Oh, really? You just can switch it off with waffles and pancakes? No, no, no. Omelets. You need to get something like very different, like omelets. So the 5 year, as it ticked down, it the volume followed it. The liquidity followed it. But the E-mini is threatening that low. It's being awfully tepid, but they might go for it. And they're still selling the treasuries. That's interesting. But there is a iceberg there. Let's just see. I think right now probabilities are getting more random to me, but the risk reward I think is very much in my favor. If the E-mini breaks down there, there's a good chance that we're going to see a push back up in treasuries. I mean, they could really freak out. Nope, they didn't go for it that time. They backed away from it. Scrambled egg sandwiches sometimes as well. Okay. 5 years is struggling to hold 21 and 3/4. Okay, there is a new low. Ooh, it's going. But treasuries are not reacting. That's curious now. What changed? Hmm? Okay. Maybe the treasuries don't care because it's too close to the E-mini open. But we just saw a significant change. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Probably, I wanted that the E-mini to go down for another leg and get some more chaos in here so badly, I think, that I ignored a lot of, because I even have it circled up there still, you know. There was definitely some order flow saying that we were going to be moving down. Like there's somebody stacking on top of it there. Maybe guys that caught the long that are trying to take profits and not getting filled on the limit. Hmm. It also shouldn't have been able to get below 28. There was a bit of size there at one point. Really slowed down here now, hasn't it? Well, I'm not too happy with the spot that I'm taking out. I think that 29 would have been good. Now where it's at now, I kind of feel like that they're doing the same thing that they were doing when it was down at my 27 before. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, it's ticking easily. They're trying to get orders to hit them. The E-mini is a little bit erratic there now. This pullback has been erratic. Still nothing bought into 28 there. Well, folks, I done goofed. There, it hit me. Oh, it doesn't want to let me do that. There we go. Because I had two orders on there, it was giving me a hard time about it. I need to remember to not like click them in, then I need to move the ones that are put on there for me automatically. Well, I think that this move up was not quite what I thought it was. So I'm a little confused. Doesn't yours go up if you scale out on profits but take the whole trade off on losses? Yeah, well, yeah. I'm with you on this Xeon trade and still holding. They should call this woulda, shoulda, coulda game instead of trading. Yeah. I think what just happened there was I just really goofed up the exit. Because I mean, let's look back on it on what should I have done, right? When we moved up, I should have seen that as we were up there at the top that there was a bunch of people putting orders up there. And then when we ticked down, those orders disappeared. You see that in the Vista chart? And there was an iceberg there. I saw the icebergs, but I said, okay, and I identified it as potential profit taking, but I said they could still go through it for two ticks, and that would be the overnight high, so I think that they could go for it. I don't think that that was unreasonable, but there was a profit taking signal. So when we came back to like 29, then I said, this could just be a pullback. I think that I should have read that as, okay, yes, the exit signal was right. I need to get out now. And I probably should have hit into 29 because once it got below that, then it turned into nobody's buying and you can't get filled on the bid. That sort of a thing, you know? So, yeah, I goofed it up. It's okay. I think, the market has changed very much here in May, and we're still figuring it out. But one of the things that it's been doing to me a lot is I think that it's going to run, and it never does. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Especially with the E-mini doing what it did. Now, I mean, if I get the same kind of a signal that got me in, then maybe we can take it again, but I'm surprised that it came all the way back. Okay, here comes the E-mini. First impulse. They're fighting. Oh, they're fighting. Wow. They're really fighting. Hmm. By the way, let's check over here and see if anybody said anything about the mess. There's been a lot of conversation there this morning. Paris asked if I had the problem resolved. He couldn't load it this morning. I'm probably going to have to open a support request. Yeah, I don't see any other conversation about it, so I'll open up a support request. Okay, so the first impulse is long. Hmm. 27.5 goes offer. That's fine. I'm talking about scaling out on profits. If you take 2 ticks on one lot instead of 2 and leave the rest at break even, but on the flip side, you take a 2 tick loss on 2 lots, your risk reward turns upside down. Right. So I think that the way that it's intended to be is if I take 2 at 27 and I take 1 off at 28, then I let the rest ride, and I don't want that second contract to take 27.5 or 27. The assumption is that you're getting enough volume there that you can let that one run. And so if you do get a runner, you can get, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is more on this side. And then if you take it on the other side, you lose 2. It's the same. So in that case, the risk reward is still the same, but you're able to catch the fat tail, right? So it works out that way. But then the other thing is that if you take it and you let it come all the way back, you're not losing 4, right? You would just, if you let it come all the way back to that 2 tick stop, that would just be break even. So it actually is still positive risk reward. Now, if you have it at 4 or something like that, like if this was at 4 and I always took the 4, and I took, and you were taking 1 off at 2, then that would be a problem. But I only have that 4 tick stop as an emergency. That's not. My intention is to only take -2 on a trade, right? Okay, Jay Constant, I sold 50% of my Bitcoin at 5,700. Where is the top? Well, man. So I think that it's pretty difficult to predict what the actual top number is going to be, because this is not reacting to any kind of reasonable valuation level. It looks to me like they like some whales are manipulating the price. I think the whales know that they're in a tough situation, and they're hoping that if they create enough bullish action that people will continue to buy it, and they'll be able to get through this tether thing without a whole lot of trouble. But I just don't think that that's going to be the case. I think that they're going to overextend. They're going to get trapped, and when they sell, it's going to be ugly. And then they won't be able to cooperate anymore. I have no clue when it's going to happen, but this is like a tower waiting to be toppled over. Maybe somebody is long from 6,000 and they're trying to make their money back or something, Who knows? It doesn't seem right? Yeah, thinking back on it, I've had a couple of pretty good trades this week that I let come back. So I'm having real trouble on the exits from here on. Unless I'm seeing something really, really strong, I really do need to just take those exits. I mean, it's like it's a no news Tuesday. That's not necessarily the best recipe for a big trend day, you know? And I was trading that like that it was just going to run right through. Okay, well, there's the E-mini. So far, a pretty positive start, but it could turn. It wasn't enough volume there to convince me that we're just gonna that we're just gonna have a buy day in the E-mini. Okay, so 28 is flashing a 5? What? Maybe people will FOMO at 6K, just like December 2017. Yeah, that's possible. It sure seems odd, the way that it goes. Hmm. Iran not seeking a war with any country, but if the United States begins a new conflict with Iran, we are defending our own interests. Every effort to begin a war with Iran, like tragedy and suicide, is those who have done so. What? Every effort to begin a war with Iran, like tragedy and suicide, is those who have done so. That doesn't make any sense to me. So now you are seeing some stacking here, 27. I am doing better in May than I did last year in May, yeah. I would still say, though, that the action has been difficult, right? Because I'm not doing nearly as well as I did in January, February, and March. And April was kind of so so. Okay, I'm already not liking this. Yeah. Look at the delta, though. That's fucking weird. I've never seen anything like that in ES. It's like that W. I don't think I actually have a trade here. I'm noticing that the 67 is stacking there now. Okay. That was actually a pretty good uptick there. Hey, what's with this 65 at 28? That's a little odd. Hmm. They're pulling that 28 now. There was 6,500 there. There was 6,500 there at 28 and it's gone. You kidding me? That's super sketchy, guys. Kind of depends on if they clear 28, of course. But if they clear 28 and it's like only 1,000 trade, then I'm calling shenanigans. So it should not do that. Okay, it's giving me the signal actually. Ooh, the E-mini is not. That's an ugly turn. Hmm. Okay, here's a big order in the E-mini. There's 1,000 at 29.08, 25. So far, it's holding them. 4,000 bid. 4,000 absorbed on the bid. 2,000 offer. Weak bid in the 5-year. But he has bounced off of that. Ooh, there's still lots of volume trading here. Ooh, I don't know about this. I think that they have to go for it. Now it's only 500. He's split it up. Okay, they went through it. Kind of holding for now. Okay, here's another one. Nope. 5-year seems unsure. Okay. Let's clear the current trades down. So we can see it's making more progress down. That turn in volume is pretty extreme. Hmm. So I'm surprised that they haven't gone for it yet. The E-mini. I'm surprised that they didn't go for it. And I'm surprised that they're showing me offers here. Well, shit. I'm still seeing lots of games. Hmm. They're putting pressure on 27 and it's not much volume going through. Okay, here comes the E-mini, almost certainly going to go for the low now. Yep. Oh, they're like, just kidding. Okay. Now they traded it. Now the overnight low was 29.02. How come it doesn't do that? It should put that on there automatically for us. I'm noticing that a lot of the big orders that were there in the 10-year have disappeared. Okay. There was a little bit of chaos in the E-mini there. Whoa, they fell down to the overnight low quickly. I don't know how can that really continue through? That's a lot of cumulative delta selling. It's also very surprising that okay. So now treasuries finally tick up 28 and there is hardly anything there stopping it. That's pretty crazy over there in ES. That is pretty crazy. Lewis says that DAX is trading down as well. Okay. Okay, now the treasuries are getting wild as well. Hmm. My gosh, they didn't do it again. So I've been saying I need to take them off. There's an iceberg there at 28.5. I need to take it off. Okay. Fine. Fine. All right. Well, whoever it was that bought 3,400 at 28.5 And then we tick down at 28. I have to thank you. Because I really liked what just happened there. There maybe we're gonna continue up, but that was where I needed to exit. That was where I needed to exit. That's where when it did that the first time on my first trade, I should have exited. My bad. See, it's struggling there at 28.5. That's an exit spot. Doesn't mean that they can't continue through it, but it's just your probability beyond that spot is less. Man, look at the E-mini go. So they're going to test 28.95. That's wild, guys. This is not the craziest thing that I've seen in ES, but it's getting there. That stuff in December, now that was fucking crazy. Holy shit. And the way that sweep would come in, we have not seen the sell sweep yet. But that was crazy, crazy action. This it's it's a lot of volume short, I'll tell you that much. It's a lot of volume short. What happened? I don't know, but I suspect that this news that the Europeans are trying to make a deal with Iran to buy their oil might have something to do with it. That that just that headline really scares me. Ace waffled the market. Man, I'm still thinking about this first one, and I'm like, why did I not take +4? Oh, and then I would be done. Then I'd have +9, and I'd be happy. It's okay. Anyways, but they're still just testing some of the lows in yesterday, so I'm not entirely convinced that this is the end of the world. I think I could be wrong here, guys. This is like a very subjective thing, but I think that they may be messing with our perceptions here. It's been pretty slow as of late, and so this seems crazy, but in context, it's not like end of the world stuff yet. And what they might be trying to do is trying to get people to overextend. And the reason I say that is because the treasuries are not moving like moving. In fact, they came all the way back to the open price and bounced off of it. But they're still, at the moment, possibly signaling a lower high. Like look at the chart over here. See? Lower high so far. I mean, if it goes down, assuming it goes down, I don't know if it will. But they're giving some indications that maybe they might. With the way that the E-mini is trading, I would have expected the treasuries to already be up through the roof. So I'm not ready to call it like crazy end of the world stuff. Okay, so they're trading a lot of volume here now at 29.01. I suppose that I would have gotten filled at 29. Okay, so now the E-mini is starting to turn down again. They're going to test this liquidity here at 29.01. I'm getting enough of a signal that maybe you could go short in the 10-year, but it's against the trends. So I don't think that that's a very wise trade, but you could maybe take it. See them hitting it down at 28.5. Both sides here actually. So even more uncertain. Oh, you guys have been saying some stuff. I was like, what am I missing? Okay, Uzi says, I set up a new workspace this weekend using more ladders, have currencies, indexes, bonds on 3 different screens just for reference and whatnot, seeing the indexes trade at the same time. As currency makes me reevaluate how crazy I thought currencies were. Hard not to put a price on me, making breakfast miss the clear sell signal at 29.1050 would be in serious money if I hired someone to cook. I would really like to hire somebody to cook, um, so that I could, like a dietitian, like they just tell me what to eat, and I would totally pay for that. Live action says I do the same with multiple ladders, but need them on one monitor. You may get dizzy running your eyes back and forth so fast. Yeah, I, I'm. I've found, like, here's the thing: is like when I look at this right here, when I get it all centered, I'm watching. My eyes are right here, but I can see the movement in the other ones. I can see, hey, if all of a sudden 29 went bid, I would see that, hey, they flipped it and bought everything there across the board, because I can see it out of the corner of my eye. And the E-mini I can kind of see, but it's just I can see movement, right? But when I started putting stuff up here, it was like way too much for me. Really only pay attention to my bond screen, but I've been running 4 screens for a decade, so my brain and eyes are used to it by now. Yeah, so maybe if I had DOMs on my other screens here, that would be okay. But like, I just put the currencies on charts over here, so I feel like it's all like the main thing that I want to see is if they're moving in tandem. And by the way, on this move, um, if I could show you, oh, I've had this screen up for a while, haven't I? If you look at the 6J here, okay, 6J moved up, and Treasuries moved up, down, up during that move in the 6J, right? So are they correlated? Maybe. If the way that this has been trading, I don't see a super strong correlation with the Japanese yen, and I don't see an incredibly strong one. I mean, this move down here, sure, but I don't know. It's a little sketchy on ES as well. But then look at CL. Almost, well, even this one, especially this move right here. CL is going down. So that is maybe some support to the theory that this is because Europe is going to make a trade deal with Iran. Okay, so now that the E-mini is threatening a possible another new low, they were starting to make 29.5 go bid. They didn't, well, actually it looks like they did. I think I could maybe do this. Okay. Will it let me put another order in there? Oh yeah, well, cool. They're kind of saying right now that we're not going to fill you. He says my brain is like permanently jello. Yeah, okay, so then it will reject that one. Wait, so did it actually take an order? No, it didn't. Oh. Yeah, because it says that I already had the limit order, so I can't do that. Okay, well, that's good to know. Sure. I really hate it when it does that. Now the question is, are they going to go for those 10Ks that even says Lucas? Yeah, that's so. We don't see 10K very often anymore, do we? Well, they didn't just continue through there at 30. Ah, now they're doing it. Look at that 5. Okay. Mm, 5-year kind of being a little fickle. A little bit more volume trading at 30.5 than I expected. Let's scratch this one because I'm not sure. Hmm. You mean he's still selling? Oh, it's selling. Oh my. Are they going to go below yesterday's low? You know what? That is a 96K bid. That is almost a 10K iceberg at 30. Well, I'll tell you what, Lucas. If they're going to absorb 10K at 30, then taking out the 10K at evens is totally within the realm of possibility, isn't it? Well, shit. That wasn't supposed to happen. Did I lose 2 or 3 on that one? Damn. That sucks. That one could like it, they could still come back up to it. Like that's the crazy thing. Do you see the 27 bid at 29 on the uptick? Well, I suppose I could take it again. I've just got to be extra um, you know, picky here. Yeah, all right, fine. I can actually take it here too. Fine. Nope, that's not a good fill. Well, I'm not going to say it's a bad fill, but that's not the most positive action on a fill. Here the ES is slipping down again. Iceberg at 29. Should have left it. Hmm. So if I had had my bid there 29, would I be happy? No. No, it would not. Okay. I need to do. Why does it give me that every time? Is it because it's filling and then it's killing my other order? I don't know. I don't like that it does that though. They're hedging their position in the E-mini. Well, it's a lot of volume here. Oh. Oh, those dogs. Maybe I should have gotten them out because my wife's not home this morning. ES kind of looks like it wants to go for another leg. Okay. So this is a better fill. Where was I in the last one? Yeah, I was at a different spot. Okay. Starting to feel a little emotional about this one. Oh, look at that. Whoever's trying to buy 28.94 there has a lot of balls. Because I would not be sitting there at the bottom of something like this. Is this 6 at 30 gonna pull if we break? The level 2 is playing with me. Lots of back and forth there in ES. Would much rather be trading micros. Unfortunate that that's not working for me yet. Okay, now the 29 is stacking a little bit more aggressively. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. They went down there, but then they didn't get stops in ES. They're getting some stops in ZN though. Look at that. Still a lot of volume trading at almost every price. We are at the peak. You must sort it out if you want a swing trade. Um. Oh yeah, he's talking about the micros. Yeah, I before we go, we need to send in a support request. Okay, so there is almost 5K into 29.5, and it did not stay bid. Okay. Let's move that window up there. That may have just been to scare me out, but I think actually I want to try it one more time. Did I sold at 29 and now it's 5K again? Ew. I don't know if I'm feeling this. It's very unusual to see 4,500 stack at a price on the uptick. It's even more unusual to see it do it 3 or 4 times. They did trade through 29 at one point. Hmm. He absorbed it. They're kind of trading like they think maybe there's a pivot in the ES. That's kind of what that looks like to me. There still seems to be some skepticism in the treasuries, though, about it. Like a lot of volume came through, but we didn't break the overnight high, which is really. Oh, actually, we did break the overnight high by one tick. So that's not supposed to happen. That's not supposed to happen. You should get the new markers. Well, I'm working on it. I need to put in a support request to Jigsaw because when we download instruments, it's not showing up. Okay, that was a big iceberg that they got on the other side there. See, it's slow though. I'm afraid he missed the trend. See, that's not supposed to happen. Nothing trading 29, tons of volume trading at 28.5. One tick below me. That's not a good sign. What is this showing? I am seeing overextension. My robot maybe actually would have gone long. I forgot to turn it on. Yeah, the thing with the micros is, I mean, it's going to take a long time for people to all get into it and for it to be popular. So I'm not like in a huge rush. And plus, you know, it's... See that? I knew it. I knew it. Oh, you didn't hear that. My robot did just take an order. And he took it. Oh, he took it short? I'm missing something. Oh, did my wife just come home? Yes, she did. Okay, 6K iceberg at 28.5. She's like, oh, that is so mean to you guys. Is what live? Well, I'm trying to be sly about when it's live and when it's not, but Jigsaw keeps giving me these fucking error messages that tell you that they are. So no, I never trade more than one lot on my live account. At least right now. I'd have to put in a lot more money to feel comfortable trading multiple lots. I think that all that craziness earlier, I think I kind of lost my mind there. Because honestly, now that we're getting Iceberg City, that's not, and that tick right there, that's not what we want. Now we're stuck. Okay. So maybe you were letting losers run too much? No. Well, so let's look at it. Okay. This is about time to get going, anyways. Okay, so that was where I would stop, obviously. So here I had a good one. I let it run. I got a little tilted on it. This one, okay. The 29.5 one, I got really effing lucky on, I think, because that only went up a little bit. And then now these, 30.5 and 29.5 and then 29. See, that's where now I'm tilted. I'm still trying to buy when clearly I don't. If I pull this, I don't want to pull this over here. Let me go back to the charts. Okay, this whole, the way that it's trading like that, from there to there. I don't really. That's not very good action. Oh, he wasn't talking to me. Well, anyways, we got to do this anyways. That's not good action for me, so I shouldn't have taken those trades. So I feel kind of dumb. I think I let it get to me a bit. I think I let it get to me a little bit that time. In the past, I haven't had too much trouble because I just go through with habit. But that situation was so unique, I think. I really I think it did affect me. And probably missing out on that first one affected me because I think I would have taken that first one. Maybe I would have taken that second one, but these other ones, I think I was, I shouldn't have taken them. Oh well. Live action says I took the same trade as you, except for you went 6 rounds versus my one time. Yeah, overtrading it a little bit. Well, it's just I know that when you get into this kind of situation, you start to see a lot of icebergs, and then they don't necessarily mean anything. But the correct answer should be, based on my strategy, take it off. And I thought maybe this was an exception, but it didn't. It was still take it off. So that one I didn't. I held that for way too long. And these other ones, you can kind of see like these are actually going against me pretty quickly. And they aren't even giving me favorable excursion either. So I don't know why I'm taking those. Order flow is tough for sure. But when you look at it overall, it's I guess you take the one off, so it was -3. So I'm not like disaster, but I'm upset that I tilted, Should have done a little better than that. And my robot did go short, so now I'm confused. Wait, did maybe I'm remembering what my code is wrong. This is ZN. Oh, so do I have it? What do I have as the time frame? Oh, it won't let me. It won't let me edit it. Maybe I'll just do it as a new one. Okay. I think I do have the trading hour set. So let's see if it exits this trade. Told you shoulda, woulda, coulda. Cool. So it did it. Wait, why did it take it at executions? Let's see here. Exit on session close. Cool. All right, well, my robot made a tick. No, wait, did it make, how much did it make? Yeah, it made a tick. Usually it gets more than that, but. No, I mean, it sucks that I couldn't trade MES because I think I would have gone short, but it's okay. So let's say, yeah, well, live action is trying to encourage me here, saying, Seth, don't beat yourself up. We all do it. I think you should try treasuries. Give it a try. You won't ever lose 700 on one lot during one session unless you overtrade like a lot. Yeah. I mean, in ZB maybe you could, but yeah. I mean, I don't think. Hmm, I feel kind of dumb, but I shouldn't because that was a tough trade there, for sure. Okay. So I wouldn't say that what happened there was embarrassing or anything, but I do feel like I can do a lot better. You know, I feel like I really should have taken the +5 on the first trade, and maybe I could have gotten the +3 or 4 on the second trade, and then I should have been done. You know? No, I was talking to live action. We're all confused now, guys. Everybody's talking to everybody, and we don't know who's talking to who. No, but for me, um, I think that if I take 3 negative trades in a row, that I'm doing something wrong. So the thing, the thing that I am disappointed about was that I did tilt, and I shouldn't have. I got way too nervous on it. So I mean, I'm catching some good entries, that's for sure. I am catching some good entries. Yeah, wrong was struggling on ES. It was, though I thought of closing many times, except I scaled off some profit and was on a free roll, different mindset. Yes. Well, and I think that that was one of the reasons why when I've taken the 2 lots, that it's helped me a little bit. But I'm giving myself a little bit more. If I'm seeing some good action tomorrow, which I suspect we'll get because it's Wednesday and everything, then maybe I'll pull the live account out again. And I think now I have it set up so that you can't tell. It's not the first time in a while. I did it actually a little bit last week too, but it was that freaking error message. Ugh. I got to do something. Well, I moved it. You couldn't see the error message the second time, right? So I think I fixed it. But it's like when I get filled, it doesn't want me to the stop order. It doesn't like it. Lucas says I don't have enough experience to question you. I don't know if that's true, Lucas. So I don't think it's an experience thing. I think it's an outside perspective. You know what I mean? I think that I was getting into the mode. I think that I was getting into the mode where I'm not as aware of how I'm feeling. I did say I was feeling nervous, didn't I? But I think the problem that I'm having is that I'm not translating that I'm feeling this way to maybe I should just scratch it. You know? Because when I start to feel like that, I often say that's often where I feel like, okay, that just means that I need to just leave it alone. I don't know. When I took that first one, I was pretty relaxed once I was in +4, wasn't I? Probably too relaxed. So that's probably a warning too. But we'll see. Well, let's sit around and watch it for a little bit. We are getting a little bit of a buy trend. But I can't trade the live account because that's 3 losses in a row. So that's the rules are. But it's Tuesday. I don't have to pack my gym clothes or anything like that. So I think we can kind of I'm willing to go until 8:45. If that's cool with you, if you're still with me. And Lucas says he'll send me a private message on Discord, but it's fine. Um Hmm. I was curious that my robot went short there. That one actually worked out really well for it. I should go back and back test some of my other robots and see, just double check them. Maybe add a bunch of them and see what they all do. Run them all. I gotta remember though to turn them on. You guys remember me? Remind me when we come in, like first thing. Turn on the robots. Okay, so there's a minus. There's a down tick. It's ticking back and forth still. They seem to be reacting to ES. Hmm. ES is giving me a tiny little head and shoulders pattern. That's curious. By the way, should I another thing? Because I kind of miss what you guys were talking about with ES. Um, but going to guess. I'm going to guess that if you did pour on the ES, that you were buying it. So here's my advice, or here's the rule that I've been using, and I'm not sure if this is like really a thing. If this is like really holds in all markets and everything, but it's something that I've definitely noticed since I've started to trade the ES, and that is when you get an open where, of course, it can. I'm always looking at like the first one or two impulses and how much volume is on it. And if you have one where it kind of goes up and then it goes down, and they're trading like 10,000 contracts on one of those swings, do not fight that. Do not fight that. When you're getting, 10, 20K short on the open, don't, don't try and take longs. Because that is somebody has some indication that it's a sell day and they're anxious to get to it quickly. 28 half went bid for a second, but then hasn't gone very well yet, has it? And the E mini, they went down for a low, but they didn't go. And that the thing in also another thing is I think that the temptation is to try and find a reversal here in the ES. Like the way that it's trading right now, maybe it reversed. And I think that there's probably a temptation to try and take it long at like 28.93 or something like that. The problem is that if you're wrong, think about how quickly it can go against you if you do that. And that's the E-mini has a very much imbalance between buying and selling. When it sells, it goes quick, right? If it's going up, you can kind of try and reverse and pick up a little bit of the wave, and it's a little bit easier. But doing it the other way, trying to buy during a sell trend, is like can be really ugly. And the only time I would ever do it is if there's a real crescendo. You know what I mean? Like they break and like the liquidity dries up and it just moves and it's like the end of the world. And you see like the big stop. And then maybe you can reverse it. But when one of those happens, it's very obvious right away that there was a change. If you take a trade like that and it still seems like maybe it will, maybe you don't, it's not. That's the one that you shouldn't have to risk a whole lot on. Oops. Well, that's interesting. Won't let me move this order. See that? P. That's hilarious. I've been noticing a lot of weird stuff in Jigsaw this week, haven't we? First, we had the issue with Rhythmic where I couldn't even connect, and I'm not able to see MES with Rhythmic. And now, if I try and move this limit order up here, it won't let me. I could do that. Fine. And I'm not seeing anything that tells me to sell. I'm just seeing that it's getting close to time. You're supposed to click on the order column to drag it. You can do it from the price too, though, can't you? Yeah, maybe that was why. Maybe that was why. Because that seems to work just fine. Oops. Move that one. Move that one. Sure. Maybe I think you're right, Uzi. I tested it, and I think he's right. See, when it stacks up, they kind of are like, especially in the 5-year. They're like, oh, maybe we need to buy it. But then it doesn't go. They see that downtick in the E-mini, and they're like, oh, maybe it's going to go. Maybe it's going to go. I'd say that things are not looking so hot in the E-mini. I'm thinking that a new low is likely. Yeah. Sure enough. And just for maximum irony, treasuries don't move again. If you left click it, it'll only let you move it once. You have to have L2P selected to move it by price column. You also have to right click the L2P button to so I forget what L2P means. I have to go and read now. Oh, you know what? And while we're at it, we got some other stuff to do. So let's do that. And cool. See, it's stuff like that that makes me think like it's fucking with me. I know that that's a sim order, but it's fucking with me. So let's generate the charts and let's go to Jigsaw and put in a support request. Bring up your trade window in the DOM. The L2P button lets you move by price. Left clicks lets you do it once. Right clicking locks the button until you deselect it. Gotcha. Okay, so let's see here. I want to read the documentation on it. But let's create a help desk report. Submit new ticket. Unable to see MES. What was the let's see here. Oh yes, we had it over here in the lobby. They said, um, "Hi." There it is. See, this has turned into a very range bound, crappy market. Okay, so there's that. And let's post the Patreon. Oh, did give me. It did give me a reading of 151. Verge. Sec. You know, another thing, I'm just thinking about it, like looking over here. Scratched too many trades today. Okay. Uzi and Seth helped me a lot, so I should try to help too. Yeah, good job, Lucas. By the way, you've been doing okay lately, yeah? At least okay. As long as you're not like losing money hand over fist. You know, a few ticks a day, that's okay. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, so we were gonna read this documentation here, weren't we? Okay. So here it is. Manual. Order and position window. No, that's not it. Depth and sales. Trade window. Here we go. Okay, S2P switches S2P on off. S2 if S2P is on, when you click a price in the price column, all stop orders will move to that price. Oh, we don't want that. Left click, S2P will switch itself off after moving an order once. Okay, L2P. If L2P is on, then when you click a price in the price column, all limit orders will move to that price. So it's basically, it's like saying, oh, I want to get out here. So like if I had a bunch of limit orders down here, and then I come in here and I say L2P, and then I click here, aha, I gotcha. Cool. Maybe useful. Maybe potentially useful. Well, did you catch any of this short in the E-mini? I caught a little bit of it in the treasuries. The treasuries are not moving up the way that I think they should. They seem to be in sell mode still for some reason. If I had access to the micro futures, which I don't, I put in a support ticket for it. But if I had access to the futures, I think I probably would have gone short. Now, how much I would have taken on it is like, who knows? But I did catch some. So I'm gonna say yes. You know, like I did see it, and I did catch a little bit of longs here in treasuries. And the reason why I lost this was because I kept trying to want to buy it. So if I was buying it over here, I would be selling it over here. But overall, I'm disappointed with myself today. I think that somewhere around here, I kind of lost my mind. So, I don't know. We'll work on it. I'm still in an okay place. I can, but you know, I want to take some trades in the treasuries. I lost 3 ticks today. Because you take this one out. This one was on the sim, but you know, so I lost 3 ticks today. Okay, but I can only lose so much a month in the treasuries. I don't have a lot of space there, and I want to save it all for the micro futures. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully tomorrow we have it working, because Wednesday is the big day usually. I'm wondering though. Maybe this is because of Europe. Maybe tomorrow's not such a good buy day. Maybe they really try going short. Maybe it really starts falling apart. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I guess there's not really much else to say. But thank you guys for being there with me today. I feel a lot. I think that we can make this work. So I've just got to no, I'm gonna make it live action says liquor grains. I'm gonna make it work on ZN. I can make it work on ZN. I think I know what I gotta do. So we're okay. And I was starting to get it. It was just like once I did get it is when the trend disappeared on me. And I think I know how to see the trend. So I just need to get back into the mode like I was in December. I know the spot to take when I got my profit and I'm seeing the iceberg. I take it off, even if it seems crazy, even if it really looks like the E-mini is going crazy. Yeah, treasuries are tough. They're probably the hardest, I think. Well, they're the hardest and the easiest, and everything's hard. Obviously, everything's hard. I think treasuries are easier to read, though. And then when I start seeing icebergs everywhere, I've just got to stay out of that. When I see it ticking around a lot, I've got to be cognizant of that. The way that it's been trading here since for the past like 30-40 minutes is not good trading for me, and I did take a trade in that time period. I shouldn't have. So I know what I got to change. So we'll just come in tomorrow and we're going to do it. All right. So I will catch you guys then. And in the meantime,